I'm doing a quick read through, so I thought I might as well film it. You can just look at my bag. Actually, don't, it's got dirty marks on. We started today with the song My Way. It's a popular choice for a funeral, but we always told him we would use it, as he always insisted on doing things my way. His birthday present last year from Audrey was a photo frame of a man in a garden and the words, "The record shows I took the blows and did it my way." He applied this to everything. As a child, I would excitedly wait in the airport arrivals lounge. Everyone would always stream through the same door, but not Grumpy. Without fail, he would stroll through whichever door the masses weren't using. He stuck to doing things my way later in life too. He wanted to try Sudokus. Dad showed him how to do them, but it kept going wrong. When asked if he was doing it like he was shown, he replied, "No, I'm doing it my way." Amazingly, he did give in and try other methods, which led to him falling in love with Sudokus. And rarely a day would go by without doing a few. Even though he gave in when it came to Sudoku methods, he never lost his stubborn streak, which we're glad about. We've tried our best to do today how we think he would like it, but he wasn't much help. He would just say, "Well, I'm not going to be there," when we would ask. We started asking after he had a brush with death 17 years ago after being run over. It was an awful time for us all, but he was lucky in a way as he received letters talking about how much he meant to everyone. A common theme was how much they treasured his friendship. He got very emotional reading them, and it was nice that he got to know what people think of him. Letters have recently poured into us too since his passing. The words we keep seeing again and again are gentleman, kind, caring, and the phrase, "he helped me when." It was lovely to see these letters. We also found a letter in his house from my great-great-great-uncle Joe to Nan before they got married. He said, "I've always thought what a lovely girl you are, and of course Clifford is a very nice young man. I believe deep thinking, sensitive, and very sensible, and will always love you and look after you." He did do all those things throughout their life, but back when the letter was written, saying he would take great care, we could never have known that Nan had MS, nor how he would give up everything to care for her when it became severe. When she was in hospital, he would spend the morning preparing things to take in, like carefully peeled grapes and ice cubes to make the hospital water more palatable. He would then sit with her for hours on the ward, day after day, for months on end. When Nan's health became even worse, he adapted the whole house and learnt many medical procedures that you wouldn't expect someone to do. When he would talk to doctors, they'd always say, "Are you medical?" And his reply would be, "I'm QBE." That would get a confused response until he'd say, "I'm qualified by experience." He didn't just care for Nan, he was always so helpful with my illness. The only chance I had to return to education when I was younger was to go in twice a day for a lesson and go home to rest in between. This meant a massive amount of driving back and forth each week, but both Mum and Grumpy split it between them. There isn't anything Grumpy wouldn't do for us, and that stayed until the end. Only earlier this year, Mum was unwell and Dad had to take me to an appointment. 90-year-old Grumpy phoned to ask if Mum would like him to come up and sit with her in case she needed anything while Dad was out. Just a month before he died, he offered to make me a cup of tea as we were home alone together. That was just what he was like, always caring and always putting others first. We wish he hadn't fallen and broken his leg, followed by finding the cancer, but it was nice that it meant he lived with us for the past 4 months. We've had to shield but tried to create joy where we could. We celebrated his 90th birthday 3 times, once on the actual date last October, followed by his half birthday in April, complete with half a cake, balloons and bunting, and finally with the family in the summer. We went for lunch in the local pub garden, which was also our last family outing, and why we've chosen to go there this afternoon. Before Grumpy had to move in with us, he would often visit, never missing a Sunday roast, popping up midweek and coming up if West Ham or England were playing. We would try not to laugh at him tutting away. If a player did something he shouldn't, Grumpy would tut. The worse the footballer's offence, the more the tuts. I'm not sure we saw a game in the past 20 years when he didn't compare the shoes in football to the ones he used to play with as carpet slippers and beach balls these days. He was not impressed by modern sport, but still followed it and watched with Dad. He was in hospital for a lot of this year's Euro football, but made it home for the final. He came home to Welcome Home Bunting by Henry and Grace, and us blasting a brass band version of It's Coming Home to celebrate his discharge. Cliff had good quality of life, even in old age. He did have to give up his much-loved allotment quite a few years back, and we missed his lovely veg as well as him smelling of smoke, as he did love a good bonfire up there. He had occasional ones at home, but his neighbour complained and asked him to move the fire when it was lit. He said in his polite, gentle way that his hands weren't made from asbestos, so he couldn't move the fire, but he would try his best to stop it. Despite giving up his allotment, he would spend his summers pottering in the garden, clearing it up and trying to bring back to life the houseplants that Mum is a serial killer of. In the winter he would sort paperwork. Oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe the amount of paperwork. He has it from all sorts of projects he worked on. I have fond memories of visiting Whitemore Prison as a child with him. Before inmates arrived, they opened it to everyone who'd worked on it. I was very jealous of the inmates having a big trampoline net between each floor to bounce on. We recently joked with him that we would sell the blueprints in his loft to a wannabe escapee. He was very proud of some of the projects he worked on. I think quantity surveying really suited him, as it sums up his character. Quietly sitting back, thinking through things, troubleshooting and calculating in his head before coming up with an answer. When I was 3, we won a guess how many balloons are in a car competition, as most people just took a guess, but he stood there thinking, calculating, and got it bang on. I could talk all day both about the happy memories we have of him and also about all the ways he went out of his way to help others. It doesn't seem real we're saying goodbye, but we're giving the best send-off that we can. Ancient Egyptians would always include items for the person to take into their next life, and we have done the same. In his jacket pocket he has his comb and Werther's original, as he always did, along with a copy of the Telegraph, a piece of Doomygood, and his Sudoku book. We like the idea of including these items, but if there is an afterlife, Nan is not going to be happy when reunited to see she hasn't escaped the telegraphs. He drove her mad with leaving them all over the place, and after moving in with us, Mum quite understands. Still, it wouldn't be Grumpy without a telegraph, which is why his order of service is styled as one. The quote on the front is from Jill. She always said Grumpy was a national treasure, and we quite agree.